Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to Rubber Duck Thursday. I'm Kadesha, and if this is your first time joining us, thank you for joining us. I like to sing on the stream. Let me turn down this music. But how's everyone doing? How's everyone doing? Happy Thursday. just here chilling, working, vibing. I have a great stream plan for you today. We're finally going to be digging into the MCP server, the PlayWright MCP server, and continue working on our that project we were working on like 2 weeks ago before we did the back-to-back streams on how to build apps with Copilot. If it's your first time joining, welcome. Happy to have you. Again, I'm Kadesha, and at GitHub, I work as a developer advocate. So this means I do coding plus plus. So I do live streams like this. I do speaking engagements. I do workshops. I write blog posts. I'm here in the community with you to answer your questions. Let me know how you're doing in the chat and where you're joining from. And then we're going to get right into the stream. So as usual, I do like to start with going through the changelog on GitHub. So let's do just that, right? Let's do just that. So I'm going to move this over. Yeah, hey everybody, hey y'all. So I'm going to move this over. We're going to hop right into it because I always like to get to the fun stuff ASAP. Okay, so I'm going to pop you over there on my second screen. All right, joining from Seattle, that's awesome. Some other places, awesome. Nicaragua, Nigeria, Colombia. Yeah, welcome. Is it your first time joining Rubber Duck Thursdays? Let me know. The premise of the stream is essentially just to vibe. We build projects, answer questions, and we learn from each other. It's honestly my favorite stream or favorite time of the week. So, okay, so let me share my screen. Boop. There we go. Ecuador is in the house. Awesome. India, awesome. All right, so let's get into it. All right, let's get into the content. So the first thing I want us to look at is the changelog. So GitHub has been busy. We've been so busy at GitHub shipping so many different things. So let's take a look at the new releases. So just yesterday, we shipped secret scanning validity checks, now available for Enterprise Cloud with data residency. We shipped Dependabot alerts, now supports production context prioritization. That's now in public preview. OpenAI GPT-5 and GPT-5 Mini are now generally available. So that preview button will no longer be there. It will just be available and ready for you to build with. That's exciting. We also, GitHub Actions got some love. So AI labeler and moderator with GitHub Models Inference API. What is that? Let's see. 2 GitHub Actions are now available to help open source maintainers using the GitHub Models Inference API, the AI Assessment Comment Labeler, and the AI Moderator. That's excellent. So now as an open source maintainer, you can streamline your issue triage with a simple trigger label that automatically clicks off. That is so good. And the AI moderator, with the AI moderator, you can now scan new issues and comments with AI for spam, link spam, or AI generated content. This is going to be huge for open source maintainers and in helping them to manage their projects, because I know a lot of projects have been getting just spammed with a lot of stuff. So that's very exciting. That's super exciting. And of course, the remote GitHub MCP server is now generally available. So this means you no longer need to wrestle with PATs, the personal access tokens. You can simply pop a code into your code editor and use the GitHub MCP server to interact with GitHub with your LLMs with Copilot. You know what I mean? So that is super exciting, super exciting. Awesome. Okay, so let's see what's new on the blog. I always like to check out the blogs on the blog posts on the blog because some of them are really great. Like, for example, GitHub Copilot Coding Agent 101. How many of you are using GitHub Copilot Coding Agent? I'd love to get a heart emoji or some type of emoji in the chat to let me know if you've used GitHub Copilot Coding Agent. Because if you haven't, I'll definitely do a one-on-one session here on Robot Thursday on how to build with the coding agent. So this is a blog post teaching you how to get started with it. It also links this awesome YouTube video that Andrea did on updates with the coding agent and so on and so forth. So definitely check that out. There's also this one, which piqued my interest because this is what we're going to be doing today. So it's how to debug a web app with PlayWright MCP and GitHub Copilot. Excellent blog post written by my colleague Christopher. And he also linked a video on how to fix bugs fast with PlayWright MCP Server. So the PlayWright MCP Server is so cool. Have you been using the PlayWright MCP Server? Okay, so thumbs up. Yes, you have used the coding agent. Wow, not a lot of people have been using the coding agent. Claude all day. I mean, you know, we do, the Claude Sonnet models are available in GitHub Copilot. I've been using Cursor the most. I'm curious why. Michael, let me know because GitHub Copilot can do so many things, and you know, it's a lot cheaper and the free tier is very generous. So let me know what you think. So what I learned this week, so this week I met with so many developers, and what I learned this week is that a lot of developers still think that GitHub Copilot is just autocomplete. Nay, it is not. Like, GitHub Copilot has matured into an agentic coding assistant, okay? And this is also why I love this stream, because I get to show you that. I get to show you how incredible it is. Okay. Someone says, Michael, same here. Yeah, I'd love to know why. I'd love to know why you're not using Copilot. Let me know. Let me know. And Rosa, I'd love to know why you rated the stuff like that. Let me know, you know, because I personally think Copilot is the best. You know what I'm saying? And it's not just because I work at GitHub. I just love it. It's just so good. So let me know. Anyway, let's get back to the content. But yeah, I'm just curious about your thoughts. Because I would love to know, to bring the feedback back to the team, and so we can iterate, right? So let's see what else is here. And so I love these new categories here. So let's go to AI and ML, see what's new here. So coding agent, of course, how to debug with PlayWright, building smarter interactions with MCP elicitation. Ooh, so who knows about MCP elicitation? I was actually just reading about that. It's a brand new feature in MCPs. And so Chris here wrote a really good write-up about MCP elicitation. So elicitation is kind of like saying, if we don't have all the information we need, let's go and get it. But it's more than that. It's about creating intuitive interactions where the AI via the MCP server can pause, ask for what it needs, and then continue with the task. No more default assumptions that provide hard-coded paths of interaction. Amazing. But not all AI host applications support elicitation yet, but Visual Studio Code and GitHub Copilot does support it. So we can definitely use that in those editors. Awesome. So there's some really good things on the blog. So like, if you're ever curious about a topic, you want to look into something, check out the GitHub blog. It is excellent and filled with so much good information. Okay. And if you ever wonder, like, what is GitHub up to? Go to our changelog and you will see everything that we're shipping. We're constantly shipping. Sometimes every day we're shipping something new. So that's a great way to keep up. Something else I wanted to tell you about was the GitHub podcast. So the GitHub podcast is back. And I believe this week, Cassidy and I spoke about building personal software and how AI has enabled us to build personal software even faster. So we spoke about some of the things that we've been able to build quickly to solve problems that help us be more productive in our roles and just like in our lives. So definitely check out the GitHub podcast, okay? I'm going to drop the link here for you. And I need to make sure that I create a short link next time, but check out the GitHub podcast. Okay, so let me see what you're saying about the questions I've been asking you. Let's see. ChatGPT for learning. ChatGPT is pretty good for learning. PlayWright MCP is amazing. Yes. So I want to show the people how amazing it is, Philip. So I'm going to get into the editor soon. Copilot is the best. I do agree. Okay, so using GitHub Copilot to build both the front end and back end of the project. Awesome. That's great. It's really good at that. Claude Sonnet plus Windsurf. Really? Why not VS Code? Tell me more. Tell me more. Why not Claude Sonnet with GitHub Copilot? Tell me more. Tell me more. Okay, Claude and Kilo or Cursor are the best. Copilot is highly overrated. Are you saying Copilot is highly overrated? How dare? Why? Tell me why it's overrated. I am honestly just listening. Tell me why it's overrated. Sonnet 4 is the best. Yes, Sonnet 4 is so good. And also Opus 4 is also really good from the Anthropic team. I really love the suite of models from the Anthropic team. Quack, quack. Exacto. Okay, so I had a couple of projects at university that required us to use Copilot. It was pretty useful. I'm glad. So, Cursor I've been using as my main IDE. Is there a Copilot attached to IDE? So interestingly enough, Cursor is built using VS Code. You know what I mean? So why not just use the original? You know what I'm saying? So with GitHub, okay, so let me go to my IDE here. So this is VS Code, right? And if you have Cursor, it looks similar, right? But Cursor is built on top of VS Code. And in VS Code, you can install GitHub Copilot here, right? So when you install GitHub Copilot, it installs the like the inline code complete suggestions, but it also installs GitHub Copilot Chat, which is very powerful because with GitHub Copilot Chat here, and let me just remove this so people can see. With GitHub Copilot Chat here, you have ask mode where you can just ask questions. It won't like actively do anything for you. And you have agent mode. And so agent mode is able to build things for you agentically, autonomously, whatever word you want to use. And then we also have a suite, like look how many models you have here that you can choose from. And you can also enable or disable models. So like, for example, I can click manage models, click on Copilot, and then, I can select whichever model I want to show in my model picker. That way you're not so distracted by, like so many options. And so, yes, there is AI in Visual Studio Code. It's called GitHub Copilot, and it's excellent. It's amazing. I've been able to build so many apps. I need to get into the habit of shipping the apps I built. That's just me. I do acknowledge that. But I've built so many small personal software that solves very specific problems, like for me and for my team, for my personal life, and it's been incredible. I use Copilot to do it all the time, and it's really good. So yes, there is a Copilot that you can install in VS Code. I don't know. Okay, so I don't know how to use GitHub Copilot though. I have a student pack. Great. So it's not great that you don't know how to use it. I'm saying great because I have a resource for you. So if you go to YouTube and you go to our GitHub channel, there is a training called GitHub Copilot for Beginners, where yours truly, we put together this entire training, the team and I, on how to use GitHub Copilot from start to finish. And then we also build an API using Flask. And then we also build a React app for that API using GitHub Copilot. It does not show agent mode because at the time agent mode wasn't released yet, but it does teach you how to install and get up and running using GitHub Copilot. And then once you install it, you can just click agent mode and you're off to the races. So if you don't know how to use GitHub Copilot, definitely check out this full free training on YouTube. And every episode comes with a blog post. So if I go here and I search GitHub for Beginners, you'll see, just like all the content. You'll see all the content for not only how to use GitHub Copilot, but also how to use GitHub. We've definitely spent a lot of time making sure the content is accessible, it's beginner friendly, and it's easy to follow. I'm just trying to, here we go. and it's easy to follow. So if you ever have any questions on how to use GitHub Copilot or how to use GitHub, or even like how to install Git, check out the GitHub for Beginners series on YouTube and on our blog. Okay, lots more questions coming in. Okay, so someone says, I no longer use Cursor. I use VS Code with Claude Code in the terminal. Huge difference. That's awesome. I have tried Claude Code in my terminal, and I have to admit, it's really, really good. It's really, really good. I love having an AI assistant in my terminal, but also GitHub Copilot also really, really good too. You know what I'm saying? Because one thing about Claude Code, like I run out of tokens. How often do you run out of tokens, Ayub, and anyone else who's using Claude Code? It's like I have to wait 5 hours for a token refresh. Oh my gosh. You know, that's the only hiccup I have with Claude Code. But I have to admit, it is good. It is good, you know. All right. There are a lot more comments and questions. I want to hop into the content. Okay, let's see. Claude Code and Cursor have major context windows, need fewer iterations, and the code is cleaner. Really? That's interesting observation. Interesting. Okay, so I'll have to try VS Code plus Copilot. Yes, Michael, please do. Connect with me on LinkedIn. And if you have any issues, you know, reach out to me in the DMs, okay? I promise to look into my DMs. I have a lot of messages. I get a lot of messages and a lot of requests on LinkedIn, but I will, you know, try to do better about looking into my DMs for questions from you guys, from you all, about GitHub Copilot and such, because honestly, it's really good. It's really great. It's really great. It's really great. And there's a free tier. It's really generous. Okay, so just go use it. Just go use it. Okay. Let's see. Another great thing Copilot can do is an initial analysis of the code base and create a spec rules document in .github folder. Yeah, it automatically generates that Copilot instructions file for you, which is really, really good. All right, so lots more comments. Okay, so let's get to the code and play with the PlayWright MCP server, okay? So I think my screen is still sharing. Awesome. Okay, so in regards to Claude Code, you see, I run out fast. I'll admit, yes, I run out of tokens so quickly. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. Now I have to wait 5 hours. And I fundamentally refuse to pay the $100. What is it, $100 or $200 for like the upgraded tier? Because I also see people in that pay for the $100 or $200, whatever it is. They also complain about the token limits. And I'm just like, I might as well just wait the 5 hours, or, you know, just keep using GitHub Copilot. Honestly. Okay, so tell us about GitHub Copilot Agent. How can we use it? Great question. I'd love to tell you. So let's go to the code. Let's go to our code editor. So a few weeks ago, we started building this project, the Advocat Content Hub. So Advocat Content Hub is essentially, or like, what I call it, Adva Hub? I don't remember. But this app essentially solves a problem for people like me, a developer advocate who's constantly churning out content, whether it be workshops, talks, blog posts, videos, live streams like this. And we don't keep, well, I don't have a really good system for keeping track of all the content that I produce. So the goal of Advocat Hub is to paste a URL link to your content that you did, and you will just keep track of the work that you're doing, right? And so we built this with GitHub Copilot Agent mode pretty quickly, might I add. If you go like 2 or 3 streams ago, you'll see like where we built it together live. And so today, I want to use PlayWright's MCP server to do some visual testing. So let's see about that, right? And I'm also going to show you how to use agent mode, right? So to use agent mode, the first thing you need to do is to install GitHub Copilot. So I'm in VS Code, the OG, and I search for GitHub Copilot in the marketplace, and then I install GitHub Copilot. Once you install, you have to authenticate with your GitHub account, and you're in the races, okay? So once you've installed that, and I'm actually going to move my terminal up here. That way I can just close this down here. Did you know you could do that? Just so if you didn't know, now you know. Okay, So once you install it, you'll see this Copilot icon up here. So if you click it, it will open up the chat window on the side panel. And so now, from the drop down, you want to choose agent mode, right? And then you can also choose your model. I'm going to go with Claude Sonnet 4, though I still do like Claude Sonnet 3.5. Not going to lie. But I'm going to go with Claude Sonnet 4 today. But as you can see, there are so many, and there are even more options that you can add. And you can also bring your own key for any of these other, platforms. But once you click that, then we're off to the races. So I already have the project. Let me run it again. Just start up the server. And yeah, it's an Astro project. Okay. And so I think I was already doing some visual testing with the PlayWright MCP server earlier, because when I implemented, I updated the UI, and I was able to ask Copilot to, take screenshots to make sure that it matches the design. So what I want to do is something very small, just to show you how agent mode works, right? So if we go, I'm gonna, so I can swipe like this. Okay, so right here, you can see here, it needs to be updated. So let me show you what the design looks like. So if I go to the drop-down menu, this is what it should look like. It should have like icons next to it, something very small, right? But I want to show you how to use PlayWright MCP Server. So I'm gonna drop the design file, just drag it into the context window. And then also, I'm going to take a screenshot here of what this looks like. And I'm just going to drop that in here. And I'm going to ask Copilot to use the PlayWright MCP server to update this. Kadesha, how do I install the PlayWright MCP server? Got you. So there are two ways you can do it. And the easiest way to do it in VS Code is to go to the extensions tab, and then you're going to do :MCP, hit enter, and then you're going to hit browse MCPs. It opened it in my other screen. 1 second. Once you hit browse MCP, it opens up this window. And now you can install MCP servers with one click in Visual Studio Code. The other way you can do it is to go to the PlayWright MCP documentation, right? And find the installation instructions. So we can copy here, and then in our folder, create a .vscode folder, and then I think it's mcp.json file, and then all you have to do is paste it in. MCP servers is not allowed to send me. That should work. All you have to do is place it in, and now you have access to the PlayWright MCP server. Simple as that to install an MCP server, okay? But the way that I did it was to just click on, I'm gonna just delete that, because the way that I did it was just to click on this button here, install PlayWright. It opened up VS Code, and then you click on the install button and you're good to go. And then you can validate whether or not the server is installed by clicking, I think I'm going too fast, clicking this tool button here. And then you can see all the MCP servers I have. So I have the PlayWright MCP server, I have the GitHub MCP server installed, and I also have the Context 7 MCP server installed. And so, yeah. So I'm going to make sure that it's enabled by, verifying, validating the checkbox. And now I'm going to say the dropdown, I'm just going to describe the problem. In the UI is not reflective of the design, right? Please update the UI to match the mock. use the PlayWright MCP server to ensure that it is pixel perfect. And we're gonna hit send. So now you can see Copilot agent mode going into motion and doing all the things. And the first thing it did was to search the code base for the code for the drop-down menu. Then it's going to read the files that it found just to get the context about what the code looks like for the drop-down menu. And now it's asking me to run the command in the terminal. I think this is already running. But now it just opened up this terminal, and it's opened up the app on port 4322. And now this is where the beauty is, right? Now it's using the PlayWright MCP server to open up a browser tab here. And so I'm going to just hit continue. Did you open up a new tab? Let me see. So now it's actually like, oh, so now it opened up a browser tab. This is Copilot doing all this using the PlayWright MCP server. It's incredible. And so now it's going to test. You can see it's doing it right now. It's testing the UI to make sure that it looks the way that we expect it to look. Let me put this over here. Sorry. Okay, let's try again. And so because it tested the UI, now it's like, okay, I see the problem. Now let me update it with what's needed based on the design file. Isn't that cool? Oh my gosh. Tell me that isn't incredible. Tell me that isn't incredible. Have you used the PlayWright MCP server? It's really, really good. Let's see. Hey, I'm new. What is this about? Hey, Kakashi, welcome to the stream. So this is Rubber Duck Thursday, the stream where we essentially vibe code. I like to just vibe code and build applications using GitHub Copilot. And today we're using GitHub Copilot agent mode along with the PlayWright MCP server to do some visual testing of our application to make sure that the app, represents the design file. That's what's happening right now. And so I'm going to hit continue again. I could do a blanket allow in full session, but I just want you to see every time it pops up, I want you to see it. So now it's going to, you see it entered this post here. It's clicking on the drop-down menu. I'm not doing any of this, folks. This is incredible. I'm going to hit allow in this session. Let's see, it's still working. It even it's also navigating on different pages. I think it's so cool. Let me see the chat. Okay, so let's see. I thought GitHub Copilot was free. So GitHub Copilot does have a free tier. So it's not 100% free because AI models it's so expensive to use LLM. So honestly, it can't be 100% free, but it does have a very generous free tier. So let's go to the GitHub page and take a look at the documentation here. getting access. Try Copilot for free. So there is a 30-day free trial where you can get access to GitHub Copilot Pro features for 30 days, and then you can downgrade to the free tier of GitHub Copilot. So okay, let me just look up GitHub Copilot free. Also, if you're a student or an open source maintainer if you're a maintainer of a popular open source project, you do get GitHub Copilot access, pro access. I think if you're like a teacher or stuff like that, you also get GitHub Copilot for free. If you're a GitHub star, you get GitHub Copilot. So there are different ways to get GitHub Copilot Pro for free, but GitHub Copilot is available for free. 100%. You get 50 agent mode, chat requests, 2,000 completions, access to Claude Sonnet 3.5, which is an excellent model, and so much more. Okay, so if that's a barrier, if cost is a barrier for you, we literally remove that barrier, and now you can use it for free. Okay, and then the Pro is like $10 a month, and you get 6x more premium requests, access to a lot more, like wider range of models, all that jazz. You can check out this page here to learn more. But I'm gonna look in the chat again, but let's go back to the app to see what Copilot just did, right? So Copilot did a bunch of visual testing, and I think I actually gave it the wrong design file, and even so it was able to figure out where the emojis were actually supposed to be. It was actually supposed to be here for content filtering. There are no blogs, there are videos, so the filtering is working. There are no workshops, there are no talks currently. And so it was able to update the UI using, the PlayWright MCP server. And what I like about using the PlayWright MCP server is right here, it created a .playwright MCP directory, and it added the screenshots that it took of our app here. So this is really good for visual testing, like automating visual testing. Tell me it's not cool. I think it's excellent. Okay, I think it's excellent. Because actually what happened was that feature did not exist. And so it implemented it based on the design, which is really, really good. Really, really good. And it gave us a nice summary here of all the work that it did. So that is GitHub Copilot Agent Mode, and that is how you can use it. It's incredible. Okay, it's incredible. So if you're not using it, get into it. Why aren't you using it? Get into it. And if you're not using it and if you don't like it, I would love to know why. Send me a message on LinkedIn. Let me know. Happy to meet with you one-on-one in person as well to chat about it. But yeah, so now I can hit keep. And, it's all implemented. It's all working and all that jazz. But I want to know what this should look like, because this actually just looks so ugly to me. So let me go to the design. But before I do that, always stage and commit your changes when you're building with AI, okay? Because sometimes you will lose your work. So make sure that you're using Git as you go to save your work, because then you can always go back to the previous commit. All right, so right here, I want to know what this should look like. So let's go. Oh, I think it's this part. So I think this is the filtering portion here, which it just implemented. And then this is the drop-down menu here for when you add the link and you're uploading. So let me take a picture of this again. And I'm gonna pop the image here because Claude Sonnet 4 does have vision capabilities. And then I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna pop that in there. And I'm just gonna copy the prompt I had here. Teehee. And I'm gonna tell it to use the PlayWright MCP server again. I'm gonna say this is the drop down menu that is where is it, the add URL that is in the add URL box, input. and boop. And usually when I'm working on another thing, I do like to just create a new thread or chat just to to clear the context window and keep everything fresh. But it's similar work. It's along the same vein as like updating a drop-down menu. So I'm just gonna keep it in the same area for now. And now it's gone to work. So while it's working, and as you can see, it's pretty fast. So did you know GitHub Copilot could do this? Let me know. Because I'm learning a lot of people don't know this. People already don't know this. So yeah, I think this comment was in regards to earlier about MCP servers. Yeah, a lot of people don't know about it. I need to send this to the team to see what's going on. But a lot of people don't know MCP servers. You have to realize, as technologists, we live in a bubble. Like, we live in a tech bubble, and most people don't know about it. And so we have to constantly educate and shout it from the rooftops so that people do know about it. One-click MCP servers is awesome. Yes, it's actually pretty good. Pretty good. It makes it so easy to install things. So I'm going to hit allow in this session so Copilot can go ahead and do what it needs to do. Okay, the same thing I do for Claude Code for using MCPs. Nice. Nice. Okay. Okay, so Copilot is going to open up a browser here, I think. But it's already open, so let's see if it like creates a brand new route, which I don't think, because see, this is Copilot's terminal here. Boom, 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 boom. If I click on my browser over here, it's going to open up this browser. So I'm trying not to click on the chat yet. But yeah, this is agent mode, okay? Did you know about all this stuff? Lots of questions in the chat. Manpreet, what did Manpreet say? I'm missing a lot of context from a lot of the conversation, so I don't know where we are. So Francis says, yes, I'm fresh to MCP servers. You don't need it to build enterprise software, but I'm dipping my toes in to see how to apply it to streamline stuff. Exactly. It's brand new technology. It's like months old, you know? So it's really good to, like you said, dip your toes and just get familiar with what's happening. This is taking a bit of time to run. I'm just going to stop it and then say like continue. Okay, yeah, it actually did update it right here, and it's testing the work that it did. See, it's all updated, which is pretty good. Hardeep, DME, which other LLMs you can use? There is a list you can see when you subscribe to Copilot. Okay, so what did Hardeep say? What other MCP servers can we use with Copilot? Is there a limit on MCP servers that can be used at a time? No. As far as I know, there is no limit, and you can use all types of MCP servers with Copilot. Let's see. Let's see if we can find a list of MCP servers somewhere. Okay, so like these are all, okay, so I'm actually gonna, I think I do need to clear the context window. I am gonna hit keep, but I do wanna test this somewhere else. Use the PlayWright. So I'm just gonna copy here, 1 second. It's taking entirely too long. And I'm going to drop, I think it was this, I'm gonna drop the design files in here as again. Oh, it's still here, it kept the context, great. Using the PlayWright MCP server to ensure that it is, that the drop down menu is pixel perfect. This is the drop down menu. English, that is in the add URL input area. So now it can do its visual testing like here. Let's see if clearing the context window is gonna make it go a little faster. I think so. Sometimes when you give LLMs too much context, it will lag and get confused. So it's important to clear the window and just start again. And as you can see, it's, you know, it's actually doing what it needs to do now. So yes, so here's a list of MCP servers that you can use. So GitHub, MindsDB, Context7, PlayWright, Fast MCP. You can install as many MCP servers as you want in VS Code and GitHub Copilot and use them. The one thing to be wary of is the context window, right? The tokens, right? So if you go here and you will see that, let me just select, if I select everything, you will see there's now 135 tools selected, right? So each MCP server, they have different tools. So like some will have like 2 tools, but some will have like 20 tools. Like the GitHub MCP server alone has so many tools. And so you'll see a message come up here that says 129 tools are enabled. You may experience degraded tool calling above 128 tools. So it's you can use as much as you want, but just think about the context window whenever you're using the tools. So it's why I like disable some tools just so I can give the LLM focus to work on one tool at a time, work with one tool at a time. But yeah, you can install as many servers as you want. All right, so it's doing the visual testing here. You can see it selected the drop-down menu just to test to make sure that it matches the screenshot. How cool is that, right? I think it's so incredible. One MCP server I would love to play with is the Appify MCP server for like some automation fun. I've been digging into N8N. Is anyone plays with N8N? And it's incredible. And I saw that there's an Appify MCP server. There's also an unofficial N8N MCP server. There's also a Zapier MCP server. So like I'm fully in the MCP server AI agent game. You know what I'm saying? Like it's so fun. It's so fun, literally. Okay, so while Copilot's doing that, let me take a look at the chat some more. Thank you for joining, David. See you next time. How MCP server is different? How are MCP servers different from what? Tell me what you mean. All right, I'm gonna hit continue. All right, I'm just gonna hit allow in this session so it can just run. So what are you testing? It's testing edge cases and verifying accessibility. It's checking the active state. It's checking the unfocused drop-down styling. It's testing keyboard navigation. It's doing so many different types of tests, okay? So that's incredible. I missed the start. Are we using Copilot to make dev changes based on the design and then using PlayWright MCP to test the changes? So what we're doing is continue. So what we're doing is we're using, so I didn't actually build anything with Copilot today. I just wanted to use the PlayWright MCP server to do visual testing based on the design. So yes, we gave Copilot like a design file that we would get from like a designer. And then I took a screenshot of what the UI currently looks like, and I asked it to use the PlayWright MCP server to ensure that the drop-down menu is pixel perfect according to the mock UI, right? And then I told it where the drop-down menu is, though it could have, figured it out on its own. I just want to know why it implemented dark, like why it made the background dark. That's the only thing I'm wondering about. But here it gave us a list of all the changes that it did. I always love to see this list because it's like a wrap-up list. And I can, go in the code and validate all the work that it did. But pretty good, right? Pretty good. Testing is such a pain for us as developers that I love that this can now be autonomously done with an AI agent. Do you guys have any more questions? I think it's almost time to end the stream. Are there any security concerns by using MCP? I mean, yes. What are they? I don't know from the top of my head, so let's do a Google search. But I mean, giving an LLM access to your data and information, you best believe there will be security concerns. One thing I can think about is like prompt injection, or like scraping things that you're not supposed to. So you have to make sure that your MCP servers are secure. You have to make sure that the MCP servers you're using are like validated and checked and verified MCP servers. How can you do that when it's so new, right? You have to just tread lightly. So here's a great article written by Red Hat a few months ago. Let's see what it says, right? That's like talking about MCP security risk, authentication and authorization. So when an MCP server performs an action triggered by a user's request, there's a risk of a confused deputy problem. Interesting. Supply chain risk, unauthorized command execution, prompt injection, like I mentioned, tool injection. Interesting. Sampling. So these are, new problems to think about as we allow as we give LLMs access to our external data. But here are some risks. Read this article because it seems I may actually read up on this more too, as we all keep learning about MCP. But hopefully you learned something today. And hopefully, you will see the magic of GitHub Copilot. Honestly, it's not magic, right? But you'll see the beauty of GitHub Copilot and that it can do things autonomously for you. It's not just code complete, folks. It's not just code complete. And I'm on a mission to make sure that you know that. My voice is breaking. Sorry, I think I was like talking over there, maybe. I don't know. Let's see. Can you share a video link on how to set up MCP servers from scratch? I did show you how to do it, but let's do it again really quickly here. Let's do it again. And then we can cut this video down into like a short form video and post it online. Make sure you're following GitHub on LinkedIn if you're not. We post such really good content, and also on YouTube, okay? Okay, so to install MCP servers, I'm here using VS Code. So the first thing you want to do is to create a .vs code folder or directory in the root of your project, right? And then you want to create a file called mcp.json. And now you're ready to add your MCP servers. And so here you can see this. Oh, wait, let me remove this comment. So here you can see an add server button that popped up here. So if you click on this button, you can choose to run a command. You can choose to connect to a remote server like the GitHub server that's now remote. You can choose to browse MCP servers. So let's click on browse MCP servers and see what happens. It opens up this extensions MCP server tab in VS Code. I'm just gonna boop, and I'm gonna click here so it will open up this one and not like something else. Boop. Okay, so if I hit browse MCP servers, wow, it's still opened up on the wrong tab. So let me go here and do boop. If you hit browse MCP servers, VS Code has compiled a list of MCP servers that you can do one-click install. So this is the first way you can install MCP servers in VS Code. So for example, if I wanted to install let's see which one looks interesting. I was just talking about Zapier and Appify. So if I wanted to install the Appify, wow, there's a Firecrawl MCP server. Focus, Kadesha. Okay, so if I wanted to install the Appify MCP server, I can just click install Appify, then it will open VS Code, and now I can just click install. And so now I need to go and authenticate, on appify.com, open, and it opened up this window. And so now I need to sign into my Appify account to finish the connection, right? And that's the first way you can install an MCP server in VS Code. The next way you can do it is to go to the repository for that MCP server. So for example, let's say I wanted to install Firecrawl. I can go to the Firecrawl MCP server repo, and I'm looking for this, right? I'm looking for this actually, for the VS Code specifically. And here you can see they actually have a one-click installation option here as well for VS Code. So if I can click on here, or I can click on the code, go back to my editor, and go to the mcp.json file I had, and boop. And now, honestly, simple as that to install an MCP server. It's now ready to be used by GitHub Copilot in VS Code. So I didn't authenticate with Appify, that's fine. So now if I open up GitHub Copilot and I click on the tools button, I should see, which one did I just do? Firecrawl. Interesante. I should see the Firecrawl MCP server. Okay, so that was Appify. I didn't do the Appify one. Let's see, start a new chat. Click on here. Boop. Hey, wait, hold on. I don't have my API key here, but I should see the MCP server pop up in the list, and it didn't. So that's disappointing. That's disappointing. But that's how you install an MCP server in VS Code. What do you mean MCP properties not allowed? Was that the issue? Oh yeah, that was the issue. So it looks like the MCP inputs. Okay, let's see if this works. So right now you should see like start here. You enter your Firecrawl API key, and once you enter your Firecrawl API key, then you can use it. And then it will pop up in the list of MCP servers available. So I don't have a Firecrawl API key right now. Which one of these servers don't need an API key? Let's see. Just so I can show you the full flow. Close, close. You'll probably need one from Mongo. Maybe mark it down. Let's see. Go to the page. You have to use pip to install Marketdown. As you can see, some of these are harder. Let's see, Deep Wiki, that sounds pretty simple. That's not the VS Code format. If I hit start, now it's running. If I go here, okay, so Firecrawl just popped up, and Deep Wiki should pop up soon as well. There seems to be a lag, but the Firecrawl MCP server is running. But what I want is for it to pop up here. There we go. And now it pops up here. So that's how you install it. So there are two ways. You can one-click install in VS Code, or you can go to the documentation, create a .vs Code directory at the root of your project, then create an mcp.json file, and then just copy the code that you need to get connected to the server, paste it into the mcp.json, and you're ready to go. You know, like hit start and enter your API key if one is needed, and you are ready to rumble, honestly, ready to use the any MCP server using with GitHub Copilot in VS Code. So that was a lot. That was a lot of steps. Okay, very cool. Thanks for clarifying. No problem. But yeah, this has been Rub It Up Thursday. Okay. Thank you. I get it now. Awesome, Kenneth. Glad you do. But yeah, this has been Rub It Up Thursdays. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you learned something new, and I hope you'll try the PlayWright MCP server. Honestly, for me, it's been one of the best MCP servers, apart from the GitHub MCP server, because that one's also really cool. I think the PlayWright MCP server is really, really good because of the visual testing aspect of it, because I know that that can be so difficult for us as developers. And then, you know, like having the screenshots here, incredible, incredible, incredible. I love it. I love it. Great stream. Thank you. Thanks for the info and demonstration. True, testing is hideous for us developers. I wonder if it will evolve to the testing as background task. I mean, who knows? You know, this is just the beginning of these tools and like LLMs being able to work with external data sources. So who knows how it will evolve? I'm so excited to see it. So excited to see it. But thank y'all for joining. I'm going to, you know, skedaddle. I'm gonna skedaddle, and be sure to come back next week for another episode of Rubber Duck Thursday. And until then, happy building. Happy building and happy vibe coding and happy learning. Bye.